G'day, it's Pete here,
Hey, it's Justin.
and we're back for our journey to the Bermuda Bowl, where we're going to discuss what we've done over the last month and what's coming up. And, well, what's coming up is we're about to head away. So where are we off to?
Yeah, we're off to Seoul in South Korea, which should be really nice. We're heading off Tuesday and Wednesday. We're not flying together because we don't like each other. But the APBF, otherwise it was previously called the PABF, is the Zonal Championships of Asia. So Australia and New Zealand get invites. Not really sure why, but we do.
Like us.
Yep, exactly. So we're off to play in that. So each country gets to send one team, and from those teams they get 3 spots or 4 spots in the Bermuda Bowl, which is the World Championship that we're off to later in the year.
It is Asia that gets those spots.
Yeah. Thankfully for Australia and New Zealand, we get 2 spots between the 2 countries.
Oh, well,
So-
there is French, Polynesia, New Caledonia.
Yes, they don't put up teams. So thankfully we get 2 spots, which is why we'll be off to France later in the year. But it should be a really exciting time. We have a 2-day match versus New Zealand. So let's go crush some Kiwis at the end of the end of the event. We're coming for you, Wibs. And we've got a few other things coming up after that.
Yeah, so after that, we're also going to Japan for the Ye Brothers, which is in early July.
Yeah, 3rd to the 8th of July. So
And yeah, this is an awesome event. It's an invitational event which is organised by Mr. Ye, who puts up some prize money, and there's 24 teams.
24 teams.
And it's one of the best practices that you can actually get for the World Championships, because there's 24 top teams, and it's a great honour to be invited to this, and managed to get there a couple of times, and I just love the experience. So there should be some really good practice for us leading up to the Bermuda Bowl there.
Yeah, it's certainly been my favourite event that I've ever been to previously. It's such an amazing event. Mr. Ye and the whole team, Mr. Jonky and Patrick, you all do an amazing job for everything there, and we want to thank you for the invite again. We're really looking forward to it, and hopefully with the rest of the Australian team we'll put a pretty decent effort in, and it'll be a good lead up to see how the bowl's going to go.
Yeah. And what are you doing between those events?
Yeah, see, I'm actually off gallivanting as I like to do. Between that, there's actually a tournament in Tuscany. Yeah, I know.
Tough
Life's tough, isn't it? So I'll be spending a month in Tuscany in between that event for the European Championships, which is a similar event to the PABF, but it's just the European zones. Now they're playing off for 6 spots to see who can play in the team. However, because their team has already been selected for this year, anybody's allowed to go participate. So once every few years we get to go. Last time it was in Tromsø. This time it's in Montecatini. It's going to be pretty terrible. So while we're away, we've got to keep practicing, and that's not often very easy while you're actually away, because basically you're sitting in a villa in Tuscany. You really want to be practicing. However, in the interest of our team, I might put a few hours in.
Yeah, we also have to line up time zones and other things, but it'll happen. So that's what's coming up for us. So a busy amount of bridge coming up in the future, but we also played a little bit ago. We went to the Great Barrier Reef Congress.
Yeah, it wasn't the sort of event that you were hoping for. I arrived at the Great Barrier Reef in Yeppoon, which is about an hour and a half outside of Rockhampton, and to find that Pete was suffering from a severe case of death.
Yeah, the event was really good, but I was so sick. We played the first session of the pairs, and then overnight I didn't get any sleep and was quite ill, so managed to get 2 subs in.
They did amazingly well. They won 2 matches, they lost 2 matches, about as good as we did, really. And we'd really like to thank them for substituting for us for the final day of the pairs. It really made a big help, and
allowed me to recover and get back playing for the last couple of days of the Great Barrier Reef. So it's good practice, but it's not easy playing when you're sick. But luckily I wasn't contagious, so I wasn't killing anyone. But
yeah. So what do you do when you're playing when you're sick? I know what I had to do when I was playing when you're sick, which is not be my usual self, be a bit nicer, take it a bit easier.
Yeah, so I think it's a really important challenge to try and maintain your focus when you got things trying to distract you. So I make sure that, I've got some routines that I try and do to get started in bridge, but when I'm not feeling good or starting to get distracted, I double down on those and make sure I really try and focus and play a bit slower and drink lots of water and it's not easy, but
general things. Yeah, I find for me that when I'm going in and I'm feeling a bit sick, that it's really important to make sure that you have plenty of water and you take plenty of breaks, because when you're feeling sick and you're trying to play, your focus won't last for so long before you start going, I hate life, life hates me. So for me, I make sure to take plenty of breaks. Whenever my partner's playing a hand, I leave the table. I go off, I have a bit of a wander, I get myself a glass of water. I might pass the water back to him with my left or my right hand, depending on which finesse works, that sort of thing. Sorry, that's a joke relating to a bit of the cheating scandals. We don't do that. But no, it's very, very important that when you're sick to make sure that you're still just doing the basic things right. Most of our practice is involving us going through the system, making sure we're on the same page, and making sure that you can always make your partner's life easier.
Yeah.
So when Pete was sick, I was sitting there and I go, oh, good. I could make this bid, which I think is the right bid, but he's going to hate me. So I'll just make the easy bid. And basically, while this was going on, you actually realise that I never needed to make this bid that will make his life hard. Just make the easy bid, just sit there, do the right thing, don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah, I think that's really important. So that's what we've been doing, and we've also done a bit of practice. So we've been doing some set hands. Now, I like a mixture of random hands and set hands, which sort of target some sort of agreements. But one of the issues with set hands is they're set and maybe there's a problem. So you're not really thinking about bridge in the exact same way. So I like a mixture of them and random hands. But we had a pretty funny hand come up in one of these, so I'll just bring up the hand. And it's not really what we did, it's more about what the robots do. So look at this east hand just there.
It's one of the best hands I've seen in my life.
Yeah. So void, ace jack to 7, and king queen 10 to 6. So the auction went one heart by me, it went past, just bit of spade. And this hand chose to bid 3 diamonds, which is a bit of an underbid, but the description is what really got me. Aggressive, weak jump overcall. How this is aggressive, I don't know. But
yes, we bid to the final contract of 4 spades, and normally we don't look at the opponent's hands, because it's one thing that I find people do is they look at a hand record and they go, oh, but this game contract didn't make here, or this slam failed here. I mean, you look at this hand, hearts are 5 and 0, spades are 4 and 0. Do we make our contract? Yes, we do, but, if it went off, nobody would be surprised, and yet lots of people who bid to a game and go off go, oh, that's a bad score. Whereas you actually look at this hand, we make 4 spades, but they make 6 diamonds. So the aggressive weak jump overcall might have played a bit of a role in negating their chances, especially when they didn't bid again over 4 spades.
Yeah, that was a little bit surprising. But just thought you might enjoy this hand at looking at how the robots actually bid.
Yeah, so when people ask me, is it good to play against robots, and robots give me advice on what to do? No. Do not listen to robots.
At least with preempting.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically from all our practice, what we've been trying to do is we're not trying to introduce new things into our system. What we're trying to do is clear up areas. For example, in mine and Pete's system, we use a lot of shortage showing bids. In my opinion, it is the best possible thing you can do. Any time that you can show partner a shortage, it allows them to know where they need their points to be. So many people say that to show a shortage you need to have X number of trumps, or you need to have this number of points. Basically, our entire system is about showing shortages as quickly as we possibly can, so that we can then start working out, are our points where we need them to be. Cross-trumping is only one element of showing a shortage. if you have only 3 or 4 trumps, you've got a second long suit. So who cares?
Yeah.
So we've been creating a few meta agreements, and so this is one of our hands that we've come up to talk about our meta agreements.
Yeah, so we came up with an agreement that when we found a fit at the 3 level in a major, what we like to do, like pretty quickly, we like to say that our new suits are shortage rather than Q bids. So we used to play Q bids, and we realized there was lots of spots where this was an issue for us, and we'd come up with a few generic areas where it was shortage, but we realized we wanted to broaden our meta agreement so it's nice and easy, so that when you come up to a new situation, you can come back to this and go, okay, so it's a shortage. So our agreement is when we found a major suit fit at the 3 level, new suits are shortage. So here where the auction went 1 spade, 2 clubs by me, 2 hearts by Juz, 3 hearts by me, we found our heart fit, and then he Q bid 4 clubs. But here I wasn't sure if it was a singleton club or the ace of clubs. Now, when it was the ace, this hand is awesome, and slam is really good here. But I don't know. So Q bidding wasn't going to help us here. So what we like is just, after we found a fit, the bids shortages. So here, when I know that my partner's got a short diamond, where if he bids 4 diamonds, I know my hand is fantastic.
And what we make sure we do is, once we've found a fit in a major at the 3 level, we're not looking at playing 3 no trumps. So therefore, lots of people use the 3 no trumps as a serious or a non-serious slam try, so saying I'm interested. What we use the 3 no trump for now is to say I have no shortages. And what this clears up is the hand where you have ace, queen, jack to 5 cards in a suit, and your partner Q bids it. If partner has a singleton, ace, queen, jack to 5 is not actually very good. If partner has the king, ace, queen, jack to 5 is 5 tricks. So having this distinguishing factor is a really huge thing for us. So here, as you can actually see, I bid 4 clubs. And when I bid 4 clubs, that put the pressure on Pete. If it was a singleton, he needed to sign off as quickly as possible. If it was the ace, we wanted to be in slam. Yes, slam can go off in the hand because of a spade ruff, but it is a really good slam to be in.
Yeah, so this is what we try and get out of our bidding practice, is come up with these agreements and not just pick for a specific situation. That's something very easy to do when you're doing bidding practice. What do we do for this one situation? And I don't like that approach. We like our meta agreements. We find something and go, all right, we want this to be this. What sort of defining agreement can we have that this fits into? If there isn't one, then we try and not adjust our system, because it's too hard to actually think about it. Individual situations like that.
Yeah, we had another situation that came up while we were doing these bidding practice hands where I used exclusion keycard. So I'd opened a spade and Pete bid 2 hearts and I bid 5 diamonds. Pete responded in keycards, excluding the suit of diamonds, which is what I asked him for. And then I said, well, what's actually a new suit at this point? Because our normal agreement is we play bidding a new suit after keycard, ask for 3rd round control. Yeah. But I've already shown 10 or more cards in 2 suits. Why would I need to ask for 3rd round control in a different suit? But then we just realised that making this one agreement for this specific time, yes, it's all well and good, but the next time it comes up in 7 years' time, which one of us is going to remember?
Yeah, so... But yeah, so we avoid trying to make rules like that and try and stick to our meta agreements when it's these rare things. But in general situations where you can add them into, I think it's really important.
Yeah, and the big thing about making an agreement is not to just rush in and make an agreement. You have to look at the downsides of whatever agreement you're going to make. And if you're excluding one major type of hand, then you should not be making that agreement. So for us, when we looked at it, we went through all the auctions where we find a fit at the 3 level, and we said, does it make sense for this to be a shortage here? Does it make sense for this to be a shortage here? If it does, then good. If it doesn't, then we have to think about our agreement. Is it a good agreement? And if you're excluding a major bunch of hands, it is not a good agreement. No. Just stick to bidding natural. So for us, that's our big thing that we've taken out of the last 100 and something hands of practice. We're getting ready to head off to Korea soon. And when we actually get to Korea, what do we actually do when we get there?
Yeah, so it's important to work out when you get to international events, how do you actually prepare when you're there? Like, we've discussed a lot about preparation leading up to an event, but I think one of the most important things about when you're playing internationally is making sure you're comfortable where you are. Now, to do this, what we like to do is get there early. So arrive a few days early so you can get over jet lag and you can get into your accommodation. You feel comfortable, you're not rushed. And then we like to go to the venue and scope that out. See what the venue's actually like. See what the playing conditions are going to be. Is it too hot? Is it too cold? Make sure we know what we're going to be dressed for. Try and use our time ahead of play to work out how can we avoid being uncomfortable when we're actually playing is a big major thing.
It's a very big thing that I find when people go to a venue in a very tropical area or country and they walk into the venue wearing shorts and a t-shirt or a light summer dress, and that's Pete. and they get to the playing area and it is air conditioned to the nth degree, and they sit there and they're so cold that they can't even think for the first match. Now, if you've gone to the venue and you've walked into the venue, you go, ooh, that's a bit cold, and you remember to bring a jumper. And it's really, really important, especially in Asian countries as well, to find somewhere where you can actually have edible food. Yeah. Food that's not going to kill you.
So Jazz is a bit of a fussy eater, so finding food that actually agrees with him is very useful, and agrees with anyone in general is really useful. So you want to be able to find those spots where you're not worried about what you eat or things like that.
Am I eating dog or is it lamb? Who knows? But we've been very, very lucky in this trip to Korea that Pete's sister-in-law is actually from Seoul.
So yeah, she's going to help us out, give us some spots of where's good to go, what food she recommends, what to avoid.
Sending us to the military zone.
Demilitarized zone.
Yeah, sure it is. No, it's all looking forward to coming up and making sure that when we get there, we're in the best condition we can be in. We only have half a dozen sojus every night, not 12, And it should be really good, and we're really looking forward to the opportunity of playing for the Australian Open team. And there'll be 36 other players representing Australia going.
Yeah, so go Team Oz.
Go Team Oz. 6 teams. We've got the Open, 2 seniors, a women's, and 2 youth. And good luck to all the teams.
Yeah, so anyway, thanks all for watching. Hope you follow us over in Korea.
Yeah, the ability to find results will be on both the ABF website. The AVF website will have it, and just look today, and the VBA website also has it. So if you're interested in following the results, you can find the links through that.
Yeah, and we'll be on BBO as well. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks.
See ya.